Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. I was extremely vocal during that 2023 season that I thought Danny Stutsman was one of, if not the best linebacker in the country during that 2023 year. And for Oklahoma to get Danny Stutsman back heading into 2024 was absolutely massive. Not only is he the captain of this defense, the leader, the heartbeat of this defense, you saw Oklahoma really put a lot on Danny Stutsman's plate in 2023, and he was absolutely up for the task. This is a guy that has kind of emerged as not only a linebacker, a very good linebacker for Oklahoma, but more of a defensive weapon, right? You see what he does in the run game, what he does in terms of rushing the passer. They started using Danny Stutsman as kind of a Harold Perkins, Micah Parsons kind of guy where we're going to put him in a lot of different spots, let him impact the game in a lot of different ways. Want to get into the film of Danny Stutsman and talk a little bit about what he brings to this Oklahoma defense heading into 2024. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. It has been truly a blast talking this program, whether we're talking on the high school recruiting trail, in the transfer portal, doing position deep dives. Cannot thank the Oklahoma fans enough for all the support you guys have shown the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And got a film dive on Billy Bowman coming out relatively soon, which I'm extremely excited to get into. But without further ado, let's get into Danny Stutsman. The longtime listeners, y'all know Danny Stutsman, one of my favorite players in college football, got the shirt. Now, when it starts with Danny Stutsman, I want to start with the consistency that he plays with. And it's not necessarily the flashiest thing to start with, but it is the most important thing to start with when you're evaluating linebackers, right? When you watch the college football game, you see a lot of linebackers that struggle to make open field tackles and really struggle to be consistently good with their run fits. That's not something Danny Stutsman struggled with. This is a guy that had over 104 tackles for Oklahoma in 2023, 16 tackles for loss, only missed 10% of his tackles. And when you watch the film, he's consistently playing the right way, filling his gaps the right way. That's something that his running mate, Jaron Kanek, struggled at times, but Danny Stutsman certainly did not. And when you start talking about Danny Stutsman, you start talking about the value that he brought to this Oklahoma defense. I think it starts with what he does in the run game. When Oklahoma was playing their best football, it starts with tackles for loss. At one point during the season, Oklahoma led the country in tackles for loss. And I think a large part of that had to do with Danny Stutsman, who, again, 16 tackles for loss, but more importantly, 37 run stops with an average depth of tackle of 1.7 yards down the field. That's a number that I really like to look at with linebackers, because you see a lot of linebackers, they'll make their plays 5 or 6 yards downfield. Danny Stutsman plays downhill. He works through traffic extremely well. And I think that's where I want to start in terms of getting into Danny Stutsman and what he brings. The first play you see against SMU, he's going to play that backside linebacker spot. And this is a really hard aspect of the game for a lot of linebackers. It has a lot less to do with the athletic ability and a lot more to do with what's between the ears. Danny Stutsman has a phenomenal feel for working through trash and going out and finding the ball carrier. You fire up this film right here on the backside of this play. Again, SMU get an offensive lineman to the second level, but Danny Stutsman just understands how to work through the traffic, how to go find the ball carrier. That's not necessarily the most flashy play, but a play that Danny Stutsman consistently was making for Oklahoma. Now, this is some of the flash stuff, and this is really what I love about Danny Stutsman. Again, getting back to when Oklahoma was playing their best football, it starts with creating negative plays. Danny Stutsman, phenomenal at firing through gaps, making plays behind or at the line of scrimmage, right? DJ Campbell pulling out to the play side. Danny Stutsman on that backside, firing through the hole. Christian Jones can't reach him at that right tackle spot, gets behind the line of scrimmage, makes a play, turning what could be a 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6 to a 2nd and 13. That's the recipe for Oklahoma and what they want to do on the defensive side of the football. It starts with tackles for loss. It starts with getting teams behind the chains. And then you can, you can start really working some different packages and different pressure packages against those opposing offenses. Now, the next thing that I really thought, and I think you guys probably had some questions about the Micah Parsons, Harold Perkins comps. I thought they used Danny Stutsman in a lot of variety of different ways in 2023 that was really exciting. And what he did as a pass rusher was really exciting for me. I'm really excited to see what Zach Allen and Brent Venables have cooked up for Danny Stutsman in 2024. This is a guy that had 14 quarterback hurries, rushed the passer over 100 times with a 10% pass rush win rate, and they did it in a lot of different ways, right? You fire up the film here. We're going to have Danny Stutsman blitzing that A-gap, head up on the center, and you're going to see him just the athleticism that Danny Stutsman has. It is just a little too much for some of those interior offensive linemen to deal with. You look at this play, phenomenal get off, nice bend around this center in a short phone booth area and goes out, blows up the play. Now, that's not the only way they use Danny Stutsman as a pass rusher. The next play here in the red zone 2-point conversion, we're going to walk Danny Stutsman up to the line of scrimmage on the outside, on the edge, and he is going to test this right tackle with speed and bend around the line of scrimmage. And what you see here, again, really refined pass rusher. I'm going to dip right below this tackle's arms. I'm going to pretty much ghost him here and then go out and blow up a play. Those are some of the most impressive reps that you saw Danny Stutsman had. And I think what excited me the most was Brent Venables saw how good Danny Stutsman was and said, hey, we have to figure out a way to get Danny Stutsman involved as much as possible in terms of being an impact player on this defense. And that doesn't just have to do with being an off-ball linebacker. It has to do with blitzing, lining them up in different spots. And I think that's what you're most excited for heading into 2024. Now, the last rep I want to get into, and I thought Danny Stutsman, one, probably can still get better at this aspect of the game, but I thought got a lot better in 2023, and that is dropping back in coverage. We got back-to-back reps here where Danny Stutsman just kind of showing that innate ability to get in passing lanes, really kind of mess with the quarterback's progressions. You see him here again, lined up, showing blitz like we saw there in that 2-point conversion play. But we're going to drop Danny Stutsman out in space here, and he's just got a really good ability to where he needs to be in those throwing lanes, dropping back in zone coverage. Preston Stone wants to go to this boundary receiver, not there because Danny Stutsman blows it up, and you see a throwaway. Now, the next play, this is probably the best part of Danny Stutsman, is his ability to diagnose what's going on in front of him, not only dropping back in coverage, but he sees this coming from a mile away. Oh, we're trying to slip a little screen out to this wide receiver. Without Danny Stutsman here, this is a play that's probably going for 10 to 15 yards. Danny Stutsman diagnoses it, identifies it, and then works through blocks to find the ball carrier. These are the kind of plays that, again, are not necessarily the most flashy plays that you're going to see from Danny Stutsman, but those are the plays that I think on the film were the most meaningful for this Oklahoma defense. And what excites me so much about Danny Stutsman in this Oklahoma defense heading into 2024 is I think Brent Venables, Zach Allen know that they have truly a special linebacker that can impact the games in a variety of different ways. And having Danny Stutsman have so much experience doing so many different things, whether it's dropping back in coverage, whether it's blitzing the A-gap, whether it's coming off the edge, Zach Allen, Brent Venables going to get extremely creative in terms of how they decide to use Danny Stutsman. And when you have, and not just a linebacker, but a defensive chess piece, a defensive weapon in that Oklahoma defense, that's, in my mind, what gets so special for Oklahoma. I think Danny Stutsman obviously has been some of the best linebacker play we've seen the last couple of years, but you look towards that 2024 year, coming back for year 4, I think you're looking at an extremely special linebacker for the Oklahoma Sooners. Fired up to watch him in 2024. We got Billy Bowman coming on the film review next. Again, Oklahoma fans, can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.